Hello, hello, good evening, everyone. Welcome back to the show. Today, we're talking about saying no. A lot of us feel guilty when we say no to requests because we think we're being selfish or that we're not, good to people. But the truth is, setting healthy boundaries for ourselves is one of the most important things we can do for our mental health and for our designing a new me. Are you tired of feeling guilty every time you say no? In this video, I'm going to show you how to say no without feeling guilty and have the life you've always wanted. If you're new to the show, I'm Dr. Dwayne Wood. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. And here on the show, we help to educate, we help to empower, and we help to encourage you to take charge of your health, your life, avoid complications, and live that life you've always wanted, going to the next level. You've caught us. That's right. We are on day number 20. You see it over there. I think either there or that side. Day number 20 of our live every day in August. And we have been having a great time. The topic is designing a new me, how to design a better version of ourselves. That's what we've been covering. And I've been so excited about all the things that we have been learning. If you've not done so, you got to go back. You got to watch some of those videos that we've done so far. Day number 20, and we are just trucking right along. If you're new also, go ahead and put new in the comments if you are here on YouTube, and we'd love to welcome you with some hand claps and some music. If you're on one of the other social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, or LinkedIn, go ahead and you can drop us a note, drop us a line. You can always come back and comment on this video. And if you have a question, go ahead and put Q with a colon in front of that question so that we'll know that that's a question that we'll get to. And then we'll answer those. But we have been learning so much as we have been talking about how do we go about designing a new version, a better version of ourselves. Now, let me quickly say that some people may be living the dream life. They may be living with everything that's firing and everything is going the way they want. We can always improve. So as we talk about designing a new you, designing a new me, we're always talking about how do we improve ourselves. So even if you find yourselves, and if you go back to one of our videos that we did, the Wheel of Life, and you're looking through that list or things that you've put in there, and you're like, okay, I'm hitting 9, 10s and all of these, you can still improve. And so go through these series of videos that we've done, and we would love to kind of hear your comments. And as we all work to get better together and work to improve our lives going to that next level. So let's face it, saying no can be hard. Whether you're worried about disappointing someone or simply you don't want to rock the boat. There are a number of reasons why we might hesitate to say no. In some cases, we might even find ourselves saying yes to things that really don't fit into our schedule, fit into our course, fit into our getting the benefit of the life we want. Of course, this has often led to stress and frustration. So let's talk about saying no guilt-free. Well, the first thing that we want to do is we want to understand why we want to say yes. Why do we want to say yes? And we want to say yes. A lot of people are saying yes because they are afraid that they don't seem like a team player, right? So they're in a group, they're in a team, they're on their jobs, and they just want to be like, I'm a part of this team. I want to be a part of this tribe, right? We want to belong. One of the largest drives that we have as human beings is to belong, to know that we are part of the crew. And so sometimes we simply say yes because, we want to show that, we're a team player and we want to belong to the tribe. We don't want people to kick us off the tribe, right? The whole idea of the island and the tribe, right? So I'm part of this group. So people want to belong. Also, people can be worried about affecting their chances of advancement. For instance, on the job, If you are on the job, if you are part of a team, if you're working somewhere and you're asked to do something, we simply feel, well, if I say yes, then that increases my chances of getting higher, of moving up, becoming a manager, moving into senior management, moving into the executive group, right? So there's this idea that, yeah, by saying yes, I can move up. And sometimes because we're so used to saying yes, saying no doesn't even cross our mind. Right? We are people pleasers. We're people pleasers. For some reason, something along the way has caused us to believe that we are the person that has to please everyone. I know I'm guilty of that. That's one of the things that I have to work on in the course of my life, that I've been a people pleaser. And so learning to say no is an interesting process, right? So it doesn't even cross your mind. And sometimes you really want to help. Yes, I'll do it. I really want to be a part of this. I really want to help. Genuinely, I want to help. Sometimes we say no because we're afraid of embarrassment. So this comes into play when you're asked to do something. For instance, contribute financially, contribute your time, contribute other resources. And everybody's there watching. Everybody knows. And because you don't want to be embarrassed, you say yes. Yeah. And the other thing is, it would make the other person happy. So sometimes we simply say yes to make the other person happy. Yes, I don't want to do it. I really don't want to do it, but it's going to make them happy. And so here we go. Let's say yes. The question for all of this, though, is what role does guilt play, in us saying no or yes? Guilt often comes into play. And whether that's from some religious foundation or something that we were taught, proper upbringing, or a worldview that says it's not nice to say no. I've talked to people, I've been with people, I've been in conversations with people who say, yeah, I just can't say no. It's not a nice thing, or I feel selfish when I say no. We often recognize it and make decisions we'd rather not make based upon that guilt. Right. And we say, yeah, I know. I feel guilty about it, but there it is. Right. And a lot of times we are guilted into saying yes by family members, by people on the job. There are people who know, okay, yeah, if you ask Dwayne, he's always going to say yes. So come on, let's go. Let's ask him. Right. So they plan whatever they're doing because, yeah, we got Dwayne. We got him because he's always going to say yes. So remembering why you want to say no is very important. Remember why you should say no. And you should say no because sometimes what you're being asked to do is beyond your means. And we just talked about the fact that if it's a financial commitment, if it's time, if it's other resources, it may not be in your means to do that. And sometimes we go above and beyond and we put ourselves out just because those reasons we talked about, wanted to belong, wanted to be in the tribe, wanted to please people, right? Wanting to show that we're a team player. But it may not be financially, you might not be financially able to do that. Sometimes it's beyond your comfort zone, right? And I'm not talking about people who should stretch themselves in terms of their job and learning and expanding. That's one thing. But to put yourself way, way outside of your comfort zone, simply for those reasons we just talked about, not something you want to do. And sometimes you generally have no interest in doing whatever it is. Yeah, it's not on my radar. It's not in my whatever. And then when you say no, this is a big one. And my wife talks about this all the time. When you say no to one thing, you can say yes to something else. I want you to hear that. When you say no to something, you can say yes to something else that may really matter. Remember, we're talking about growing. We're talking about expanding. We're talking about improving ourselves, designing a new us, designing a new life, designing a better life. And part of time management says that sometimes you've got to say no to something else so that I could spend the time that I need to grow myself, to spend time with my family, to take care of my job, to take care of my needs. Because what happens is that we become frustrated and we become bitter and we become stressed because we've taken on commitments that aren't necessarily ours because we simply want to please. We want to belong. We're afraid of embarrassment. And we take those on, and it now takes time away from the things in our lives that are taking us in a particular direction. Remember, we are heading somewhere. We're designing a better life. We're designing a better us. And learning how to say no is a huge part of that. What you want to ask yourself is, does the discomfort of saying no outweigh the benefits of saying yes, right? So there's this ratio. There's this cost-benefit ratio. What am I giving up if I say yes? And is the desire to say no, right, the second question, is it based on a lack of confidence, right? Am I just really scared of whatever that is? Am I afraid to take this on, this project that they want me to do? Is it because I have a genuine disinterest, or it doesn't fit in my schedule, my calendar, my resources? Is it that I'm afraid that I won't belong? Or am I genuinely afraid of the task itself because I lack confidence? Now, if it's just a lack of confidence, then that's probably something that you should do. Get some help. Figure out how to do it, because that grows you, that expands you. But if it's for all those other reasons, then yeah, no is probably beneficial. And then you got to know your why. I know everybody talks about this. You got to know your why. We have to know your destination. We have to know your purpose. And if you remember, we did a couple of things. We wrote a statement, a mission statement for our life, right, in one of the videos. So go back and watch that one. What is the mission statement for my life? Where am I going? What are the things that drive me? What are the values that I own? And then we wrote a personal statement of who we are, who our identity was. What do we want to be in our lives? How do we want to be? How do we want to appear? How do we want people to perceive us? So those are the things that we're working on. And those are the things that drive all the things that we do. Does it fit into all of that? So does the discomfort of saying no outweigh the benefits? Is the desire to say no based on a lack of confidence or genuine disinterest, or one of the things that we talked about in terms of the fear of not belonging if we don't say no? Or if we say, if we don't say no. And then you got to know your why. What's driving you? What's driving you? And then we got to practice. We got to practice. So when you decide that you're going to say no, so all of those things, so we've evaluated why we want to say yes. We've talked about why we want to say no. We've evaluated where it fits. This is not a lack of confidence. This is genuine that I don't want to do this. It doesn't fit into my schedule and all those things, right? So we've got to make sure that we've gone through that first. And so you've made the decision that you honestly are going to say, you want to say no. And I know sometimes, and I'll tell you, you decide in your head and your heart rate goes up, and you imagine saying no, and you imagine the pushback. And sometimes as a result of that, we end up saying yes. So how do we get over that? You got to practice. Get in the mirror, put the mirror up and practice saying no. No, I can't do that. No, I'm not going to be able to do that. No, I'm not going to be able to accept that. Practice saying no. And then practice saying no to a person. Now, when you just say no to yourself, right, it's easy, right? You can just say the words. But I want you to practice. Imagine that you're in that situation and you want to practice saying no. Say it clearly. Say it assertively in the mirror. Look at yourself in the eye. Just say no. Right? That's the first thing. Say no. Now, there are some times where you are going to be able to explain why you said no. No, I won't be able to do that project because I'm working on this other project right now and I don't have the time to do that. That's what I did. I said it. No, and I've given a reason. Practice, experiment lots of different ways of saying it until you find that you're comfortable saying the words no. Sometimes the words no, you can't even say it because you're not used to doing that. So look in the mirror, practice saying no, practice saying no to a person, and practice no with a reason. No, I'm not going to be able to do it. Now, the reason, you have to have a reason, right? You have to have a reason. You don't necessarily have to tell the person. And don't make things up, okay? I can't do that because, my cousin's getting married. Well, you don't have a cousin. Or they know the cousin that you had already got married, did they? Right? So don't make things up. Be genuine in your no. Sometimes the no is simply that it doesn't fit my schedule. The no is because I can't afford it. The no is because I don't have the time. I'm working on another project. The no is because my wife asked me for us to do something else. Yeah. Now, when you say no, and I said assertively, there are several ways that you can say no that may make people think that you actually mean yes. The first one is the limp no. It's kind of like when you do a handshake and you get that limp handshake, same thing. So you say no, but you say it in like a little, well, no, right? Little fine voice. There's shaking in the voice. It's not confident. And so the person that you're talking to naturally will say in their minds, right? Because this is very weak. So they're going to come back and they're going to say, well, I think you should do it because of that, right? So they're going to try to convince you because your no was not that strong. Also remember that your brain is listening and it knows the discrepancy between what you're thinking and what you said. And so the tenseness, the intensity builds because there's this dichotomy. And so when that person comes back, the brain wants to resolve it. It doesn't want there to be this, it doesn't want for you to be a liar. It doesn't want you to be lying to the person and lying to yourself, right? So remember, you're saying one thing, right? But you're feeling a different way. And so when that person comes back and says, hey, do you think you can do that? I mean, can you really try to do this for me? The brain says, hey, we don't like how we're feeling. So yes. Notice what happened. We said no. But the person, first of all, didn't believe we meant no. And our brain didn't believe we meant no either. So when the person comes back, boom, here we are. So yes. So you got to be careful with those limp no's. Then the other one, don't be angry, right? Sometimes in order to say no, we just build up this sternness in ourselves and we just, no, I'm not going to do this. You got to be kidding. I'm not doing that. No, I'm not demeaning myself to do that. Right? So we put on this anger, this force of anger. And of course that disrupts the relationship. And it's really not the way we want to do, right? Now, there are times when you are genuinely angry about something And it's okay to express anger, but don't use anger as a way to be able to say no. You've got to learn how to say no, and you've got to learn how to say no in a way that doesn't destroy the relationship. So the assertive no is being polite, looking the person in the eye, and saying, no, I won't be able to do that. No, that does not fit in my schedule. No, and you can give a reason, but assertively. You can give the reason, or you may not want to give a reason. Right? But you got to be able to say no. Use effective body language. So once again, people look at us, right? If we're not looking them in the eye, we got our head hung down, we got the quiver in our voice, right? You know, we're saying yes in our body language, but we're saying no with our voice. Use a firm voice. And all of this takes practice. So practice no at home. Practice no at home. So don't wait until you're always in the situation to say no, to practice no. All right? And then time to think. Now, this is a very interesting one, because there are occasions where we are asked to do something on the spot. And we think, right, because we're not used to saying no, there's this anxiety, there's this tenseness that builds the longer we wait, right? Someone says, can you do this for me? And we almost come back immediately because we don't like the way we feel, right? We want to say no, but we don't like the way we feel. And so we just say yes and we go, all right, just get rid of it. Get rid of that feeling. And then we, of course, start feeling the other feeling, which is guilt. That we said yes. So we'll talk about that in just a minute. Don't forget, whenever anyone asks you to do anything, it's perfectly okay to say, can I think about it? Can I get back to you? Or even in that moment, can you give me a minute? Right? So the decision may have to be made, boom, but can you give me a minute to think about it? You should never say no simply because you are pressured into doing it when you can delay just even a couple of minutes. And you may find, okay, this is something I do want to say yes to. Or it does fit in my schedule. I can do it. Take time to gather your thoughts. It also gives you some time to think about how you're going to say no if you decide that you're going to say no. Right? So take some time to think. Can I think about it? Ask that question. Or give me a moment, please. And then practice good self-care. Practice good self-care. Now, after you say no, if you're not used to saying no, then you're going to begin feeling some things. Your brain is maybe racing. Your heart may be pounding, right? Now, what we're hoping is this, that because you've said no, that really resonates with who you are, what you're thinking, where you're heading. And so that may calm you. But once again, because you're not used to saying no, you may still have some thoughts, some of those false beliefs that are there. And particularly if the person has pushed back a little bit, the person that's asking you to do the thing, if they've pushed back, now you got that's on your mind. Did I do the right thing? And of course, you got to be prepared for the pushback. Right? You've got to know your boundaries. And we'll need to we'll probably do a video on boundaries. Right? What are you willing to do? And where does that boundary start? What line are you going to say, okay, no, we can't cross that? And if the person is persisting to push, and it is a genuine no, you may have to say, would you please respect my decision? Okay. So that's after you say no. So let's go back now. So this self-care, there are all these things, thoughts that are going through your mind. Because remember, this is new for you. You've been practicing in the mirror, but you just said it. And your brain is going through all this conversation. Maybe you're thinking, maybe I shouldn't have said it. You're feeling bad. Oh man, who's going to do it? What are they going to think about me? Am I going to be able to now advance on the job? Is my wife still going to love me because I said no? Is the church still going to love me because I said no? So the first part of self-care is making sure that you are getting good rest. We are infinitely able to manage things when we're rested. If we're not rested, then there seems like there's so much that's this weight that's on us, and we're less likely to deal with those emotions. We've talked about journaling. Get your journal out and write your thoughts. What am I feeling? What is going through my head? Right? What am I imagining that may happen as a result of me saying no? Right? How do I feel? How did that person respond? Connect with your social network. That's one of the reasons for having the support system that's around you that we're talking about building, right? You got to build a support system so that now you can go to that support system. You can talk with those people and they now begin to feed into you. They now begin to pour into you because you've just gone through this process. Take time to relax. Spend some time just relaxing. It may be meditation. It may be doing a spa. It may be doing a massage, right? So take some time to just relax. And then visualize the benefits you've just gained and the new skill you've just learned. Woohoo! I love that one. Right? Because this is a skill. The saying no is a skill. So begin visualizing now. What are the benefits that I've just gained by saying no to this thing? What's the time that I've gotten back? What's the financial resources that I now don't have to put out? Other things that I don't have to put out. The benefit I have of spending time with the family and friends and spending time now building myself, designing that new you that we've been talking about. And this new skill that you have. So now you are able to look at a situation, have someone ask you something, evaluate it, and decide if you are going to say yes or no, and then say it. There's not this fight anymore because you've got a process that you're going to go through. And so that process, right? You see it there. Understanding your reasons for saying no. Remember why you should say no. Practicing saying no. Take time to think and then practice proper self-care. At some point in our lives, we've all found ourselves in the position of having to say no. Maybe it's an offer to host a party when we already feel overwhelmed, or a request to volunteer for a project at work that we don't have time to do. Whatever the situation, it can be difficult to find the right words to express our needs. Part of the problem is that we don't want to disappoint others or come across as unhelpful. But saying yes all the time can lead to burnout and resentment. And it can take away from what you want to do. It's important to remember that it's okay to put your needs first. It's okay to do that. By using the techniques we just discussed, you will be well on your way to the life you've always wanted, redesigning a new me, designing a new you. That's what we want to do. And we thank you for joining us for this video. Day number 20 in our live every day in August. Thank you for being here. If you are getting benefit from this video, if you got benefit from this video, give us a thumbs up. give us a like, share it with your family and friends. If you are getting benefit from the other videos that we've done on the channel this month or even before, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell so that you'll get notified when we put new and exciting videos up. One thing that I've not asked you guys to do this month is if you have topics that you want us to cover, we'd love to do that, right? Send us a message, Dwayne Wood MD at dewcenter.com. Sorry, dwood at dewcenter.com or dwood at dwaynewoodmd.com. Right? So go ahead and send us a message. Also, you can drop a message in the comments here on the channel. If you are on Facebook or LinkedIn or Twitter, go ahead and drop us a message. You can go ahead and like us, send us a friend request, follow us on those social media platforms. We'd love to connect with you and grow this community even more. So come back tomorrow. We are on day 21 tomorrow of this live every day in August. We thank you for being here once again. This is Dr. Dwayne Wood. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. And here on the channel, we help to educate, we help to empower, and we help to encourage you to take charge of your health and your life. Go to the next level and live that life you've always wanted. Thank you. Good night. And we will see you tomorrow. Let's get some music and get on out of here.